Jai Shri Krishna. Jnananandamayam devam nirmalaspatikakritim adharam sarva vidyanam hayagreevamupasmahe. Sarvesham swagatam. Susandhya. ये भारतात् आगतवन्तः तेषां कृते शुभमध्याह्नः. So good evening and good afternoon, depending on the time zone you've joined us with. Adya Dasavatara Vishaye Kinchit Chintayamaha. Let us think on the avatars of Bhagavan. When we contemplate on the different avatars taken by Bhagavan, Bhagavad Gita gives us a very good perspective. Bhagavan Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Bahuni me vyatithani janmani tavacharjuna. Which means, Bahuni me, innumerable number of avatars I have taken. And Krishna says, I remember the avatars I have taken, but you do not remember Arjuna. Because Arjuna has also taken that many births. So, is this, number of births Arjuna has taken, number of births Krishna has taken the same? Bhagavan says, both are innumerable, which means that we can't count it. When both are infinity, how can we say which is more or which is less, right? So, bahuni me vyatitani, innumerable number of times, both of them are born. But Krishna says, there is a difference. You are born because of your karma, while I am born out of my ichcha. Because I want to incarnate here, I take the avatara. So I remember all what I have done. I remember all what you have done. You can't remember anything, Arjuna. So, bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna. So there are innumerable avatars which Bhagavan has taken. What is the purpose of the avatara? He again explains it in Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Paritranaya sadhunam. One is to protect the sadhus. Vinashaya cha dushkritam. So whoever trouble the people who are going on the right path, they are considered as dushkritas, because Bhagavan is like a mirror. He does not have any person who is his friend or any person who is his foe. Nothing, right? He's created everyone. So why does he protect someone and destroy someone else? There's nothing like that, right? So Bhagavan is like a mirror. He just reciprocates based on whatever we are. Paritranaya sadhunam. For the people who work based on the dharma, he protects. Any adharmic activity, he destroys. Vinashaya cha dushkritam. In turn, what does he do? Dharma samsthapanarthaya. He re-establishes dharma. For that, what does Bhagavan do? Sambhavami yuge yuge. He incarnates over and over again. Now, when I initially learned this concept, I was thinking, if Bhagavan is the Srishtikarta, if he is going to create the entire universe or multiverses just by his sankalpa, is there a need for Bhagavan to incarnate? In fact, some of the religions say, right, he's too big. Why should he come here? That is their argument, saying that Bhagavan will not come here. Now, my Acharya used to give a very, very interesting example for this. Now, think about it. An emperor is going on a cruise along with his family. So now the king, his queen, his little child, he's got a very small child. Everybody is now going on a ship. So at that point of time, all his securities, are all there just to protect the king and his family. Everybody is standing there. This little kid is playing around. And in spite of all the protection, he throws his ball down. And because the little baby is so playful, he wants to catch the ball and he also jumps inside the water. Now, what do you think the king will do? The king, he's an emperor, right? He's like king of kings. So do you think he'll say, hey, Sevaka, Agachatu, atra agachatu. Kripaya tatra gatva kim chalati iti pashyatu. Will he say patiently, like, go there and see what is happening? Or because of his love and affection to his son, will he just jump inside? Exactly, Shiv Shankarji is saying, like, he will jump inside the water to take care of his child, right? Can't he wait for the guards? He's a king. Why should he jump himself? Is his guards not capable of taking care? Is he not too big to jump? It is because of his love to the child that he wants to jump and take care of him immediately. So Bhagavan is omnipresent, omnipotent. He can do everything with his sankalpa, but all of us are his children. Out of his love to all of us, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge, he keeps coming back again and again and again in different forms. And what is the main reason? Paritranaya sadhunam. It is mainly to protect all those who want to follow the dharma. Now, when we say protect, it is not only physical protection, right? Father does not just give food, clothing, shelter. He gives love and affection. He tells the child what is right, what is wrong. He guides the child. He is with the child. More than anything, just being with the child is important, right? So Bhagavan comes here not just to tell us, do this, do that. No, he's with us. Just think about it. When you think of Krishna, the childlike taunts that Bhagavan did, stealing butter, playing with gopas, being with gopikas, doing all his Bala Leela, when we think of it, it gives us so much of happiness. So when we say Paritranaya Sadhunam, it is about giving us this experiential learning. It is not just about, just doing something and going off. It is the experience. It's the anubhuti for which Bhagavan comes here. Otherwise, he can do everything in Sankalpa. So what we have to understand from the avatars of Bhagavan is, it is for us to experience. So with that feeling of experiencing every bit of it, we will go into the Dasavatara Stotra. It is not an academic learning experience that we are here for. It is about the anubhuti. Bhagavan has come here to give us the anubhava. So we will go into the anubhuti. We will go back to that time, that situation, live there, be it, experience it, so that, we get it into our muscles. So that's the purpose of Bhagavan's avatara. And that's the purpose why we are here also. Now, Bhagavan has taken innumerable avatars, which is infinite number of avatars. Does that not look like a contradiction when we say Dasavatara? Because when he's taken innumerable avatara, why are we talking just of 10 avatars, right? So what is the reason of, identifying just the 10 avatars? In fact, if we think of the Bhagavata Purana speaks about 24 different avatars. So 24 avatars includes like Hayagriva Avatara is one of the avatars. It also speaks of some of the sages as the avatars of Bhagavan. It speaks of even Narada Maharishi. Many different things are mentioned in the Bhagavata Purana. So in different places, depending on our perception, the counts change. Many of our acharyas speak about the 10 prominent avatars, possibly because those have the maximum impact for human beings. Because many avatars have come down for different reasons. Some avatars are more significant for devas. Some avatars are more significant for different reasons. So for us, because of the place, the time, the location we are in, these 10 avatars, which have made a big difference to us, are mentioned. In fact, Kalki Avatara is yet to come, but it is going to make a huge impact for us. Therefore, Kalki is also part of the Dasavatara. Now, when we think of avatars, there are something called Purna Avatara, where Bhagavan is himself in the avatara. Like Nrsimha Avatara, like Rama Avatara, like Krishna Avatara, he himself becomes the avatara and he's here. Many times we also hear of Avesha Avatara, which is not completely, 100% as Bhagavan, but they have such great powers, great traits which can't be compared to normal people, and that is blessed upon them by Bhagavan. Some are called Amshavatara. A particular aspect of Bhagavan is there, which is exhibited by them when they are here. That is why we say that Vedavyasa Maharishi had such a great potential. Even if we all live for like hundreds of years in every birth and live many births, we will not be able to learn even a small iota of the Vedas that is given for us. Vedavyasa Maharishi compiled all the Vedas, divided it into what is Rig Veda, what is Yajurveda, what is Samaveda, what is Atharvaveda. He gave everything to us. What kind of a brilliance he should have. That's why we say Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya, right? But then, is Vyasa Bhagavan the same as Bhagavan Sri Rama? Or is he the same as Bhagavan Sri Krishna? We don't equate it that way. Because Bhagavan Rama, Bhagavan Krishna are Purna Avataras. While Vedavyasa Maharishi is an Amsha. He has one particular aspect of it. Parashurama is an Avesha. He's like, he's got the traits of Bhagavan because he could fight around 20 odd Akshauhini armies at one time. The entire Mahabharata war was 11 Akshauhinis on Kaurava's side and 7 Akshauhinis on Pandava's side. That was considered as like a world war size, Now Parashurama single-handedly could battle more than 20 Akshauhini armies. So that kind of a capacity is, not possible for humans. So he is definitely Avatara Purusha. But he's not like Krishna. He's not a Purna Avatara, say Acharyas. So these kind of differences are there. Having said that, because these 10 have made a huge impact for us, we have to know about each of these avatars. And each of these avatars are also connected to a particular planet. Planet is an inappropriate word for us to use. I'm using the word planet because I will try to connect to what a graha actually means in our scheme of things. Grihyate iti grahaha, says Sanskritam. Basically, that which attracts, grahati. It is like something which can attract. Now, in our Sanatana Dharma, we look at everything from the perspective of Earth. What happens is, whatever has an impact on Earth, those are considered as planets. So, sun can make an impact on Earth. Okay. Moon can make a difference to us. Think about it. During the Amavasya or Paurnami, the level of the water, the high tides happen, right? We can physically see the differences here. Even though the Rahu and Ketu are not visible, we still call them Chaya Graham because it has an impact on us. So what we call as Navagrahas are basically the 9 different graha which make an impact to us. Therefore, Bhumi is not considered a graha. Earth is not a planet for us. But when we consider planets, only the number, that too used to be the same. We used to say planets are grahas. We used to loosely translate it because there are 9 planets, there are 9 grahas. But when you look at the list, sun is here, moon is here, earth is not here. The entire list is different there. We have Chaya grahas here. That was not there. Ours has been 9, is 9, will continue to be 9. That was 9, became 8. Now there's a contemplation whether it's 9 or 8. It's a different story. So it is grahas that we are interested in, not in the planets. So the Navagrahas are connected to the avataras of Bhagavan. So whenever we say the stotra of a particular avatara of Bhagavan, it is like worshipping that particular graha. So the negative impacts of that graha can be pacified. So I will also show you a chart which explains the relationship between the graha and the Dashavatara so that we can know what all are. Of course, we can recite the entire sutra. It's only 10 slokas, but it will be useful for us to know this difference also. Is my screen visible?
Bhagini, drishyate.
So,
Yes.
Matsyavatara is Ketu. Kurmavatara is worshipped when we want to do something for Shani Bhagavan. Varaha Avatara for Rahu. Nrisimha Avatara for Chevvai or Mars. Vamana Avatara for Jupiter or Guru. Parashurama for Venus or Shukra. Bhagavan Sri Rama, we all know he's a Surya Vanshi, so for Surya. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, we know is Chandravanshi, so for Chandra. And Kalki is for Buddha. Now, this very name, the names of the avatars is very, very significant for us. I'll just give you a few examples because Sanskritam is so profound. Kurma is very slow moving, right? Now, when you think of Shani, we call it Shani, but actually in Sanskritam, it is Shanaischaraha. Shanaihi charati. Ataha Shanaischaraha. Shanaihi means slowly. Charati moves. The one which moves very slowly is Shanaischara. So the planet takes a very long time to actually go around, right? Therefore, it is called as Shanaischara. Mars has a name as Lohita. Lohita means iron. Today, our scientists are calling it a red planet because of its contents of iron. Our ancestors have named the planet itself as Lohita. Now think about Chandra. There was a lot of discussion even during my childhood, I think, whether moon has water or not. Will that be a place where people can live because of the contents of water? So many such discussions were there, not very long back. But our ancestors, they are like, how did they know all these? Jalavat Chandrama is a phrase that is used. Jalavat Chandrama. Water is there in the moon. It's defined with water itself. And they also call it as Mano. It is related to the mind. Chandrama Manaso Jata Chaksho Suryo Ajayata. All these words are there, right? So the mind today, a lot of psychotherapy say that, during Amavasya or Paurnami, the mind of people changes. Chandrama Manaso Jata, from Bhagavan's mind, Chandra has come, says our Purusha Sukta. So a lot of things like this, what we come to know today, have been mentioned using all these beautiful, Navagrahas. So there are many, many other interesting aspects when we just look at the naming convention itself. So we will discuss it as we go on to each of these avatars. We will go into the Stotra, which is written by Swami Vedanta Desika on each of these avatars. So one very interesting thing which I touched upon earlier, which I would like to recap now, is that the Dasavataras, as I was mentioning now, we can worship them for any of the Prayashchittam, for any of the Navagrahas. So when you go to astrologers, they say, go to this kshetra, go to that kshetra, and things like that. Now, there was a great devotee of Bhagavan. Tirumangai Alvar was his name. He is known for his construction of the entire tall walls around Srirangam temple. Srirangam temple is in Tiruchinappalli, Trichy. So he built those huge walls outside of the Srirangam temple. Bhagavan Ranganatha was very, very happy for this seva offered by Tirumangai Alvar, that he asked him, what do you want? How can I help you? And Tirumangai Alvar, Alvars are always immersed in the Bhagavan's Anubhuti, right? So he wanted to experience the avatars of Bhagavan. He was residing in a place which is just, in the same city of Srirangam, a little outside of it. So he said, I want to have the darshan of your avatars. So Bhagavan automatically came up to give the darshan to Tirumangai Alvar. So Tirumangai Alvar worshipped Bhagavan in all these 10 rupas of Dashavatara. and he sang praises of Bhagavan in Tamil, which are all in the Alvar Pasurams. So that Dasavatara Sanadhi is a Swayambhu Dasavatara Sanadhi, where Bhagavan came up in order to show the darshana. So which is, when we go to the Srirangam temple, this is just like, 10 minutes drive from the temple. You can still go there. And the same Dasavatara Bhagavan is there because Thirumangai Alvar said, now I have seen you. I'm really blessed to see you. But all the future generations also have to experience you. So you please reside here to give the darshan for all the devotees. So from that time, Bhagavan is residing in that temple in all the 10 forms. So this is a place where if we go, we can see all the Dashavataras in one place. So thus it is in the outskirts of the Srirangam temple within Srirangam city itself. And Swami Sri Vedanta Desika has sung this Dashavatara Stotra on that Divya Desam, on that Srirangam, the place where Thirumangai Alvar resided when he was constructing the walls for the Sriranga temple. That is the place where Bhagavan is Swayambhu. And this Dasavatara Stotram that we are about to learn now is on the same Dasavatara Bhagavan, who is a Swayambhu Bhagavan. Yes, on Kalki also. So we will learn about the Dasavatara Stotram now. Before I go on, any of you have any questions? You want to have any discussions before I go on to the Stotra?
Sorry, what was the name of the temple you mentioned?
Dasavatara Sannidhi. It's called as Dasavatara Sannidhi itself, okay, in Srirangam. And these are the deities who we can worship there. So these are the Vigrahams. All the 10 deities can be seen in one place in the temple.
Within Srirangam temple?
No, this is like 10 minutes drive from the temple. This is a separate temple. The name of the temple itself is Dasavatara Sannidhi. Possibly at that time, Srirangam was really huge. Now we have a lot of people settled down there, right? So it would have been a huge campus possibly. So all the murtis are visible here.
Divya Desham iti na prasiddha jata magni?
Usually one sthala is taken as one Divya Desha, right? So possibly Srirangam is mentioned. So maybe that is the reason. In fact, here Thirumangai Alvar's Vigraham is also there. Thirumangai Alvar is also worshipped here. So usually the practice of recitation is whenever we recite a stotra, we recite the person who's authored the stotra. In this case, our Acharya, Swami Vedanta Desika, has written the Dasavatara Stotra. So we will do our salutations to the Acharya and then go on to the actual stotra, which is authored by him. Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha.
Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha.
Srimate Nigamanta Mahadeshikaya Namaha.
Srimate Nigamanta Mahadeshikaya Namaha.
Shriman Venkata.
Shriman Venkata.
Natharyaha.
Natharyaha.
Kavitarkika Kesari.
Kavitarkika Kesari.
Vedantacharya.
Vedantacharya.
Varyo me. Sannidhattam. Sada
hridi.
Shriman Venkatanatharya.
Shriman Venkatanathārya.
Kavitarkika Kesari.
Kavitarkika Kesari.
Vedantacharya Varyo me.
Vedantacharya Varyo me.
Vedantacharya.
Vedantacharya Varyo me.
Varyo me sannidhattam sada hridi.
Sannidhattam sada hridi.
So first, before we move on to the avatars, Swami Vedanta Desika has given 13 slokas in the Dasavatara Stotra. Dasavatara, 10 avatars. So the first sloka is the context setting before going on to the Matsyavatara. So he says why I am doing this particular explanation. And the last two slokas are the summary sloka and the Palastuti Stotra. So in between, we have the one sloka attributed to each of the avatars that we'll be learning. Now, the first sloka, because this happens in Sri Rangam, Swami Desika says, Hey Bhagavan, you are in this Ranga. Ranga means the stage. So you are in this Ranga and you are going to be a Nata. You are going to be the hero. So in the stage, imagine Bhagavan is now going to be, think of one nice movie, a grandeur movie that's going to happen, right? Now, who is the hero of this movie? Bhagavan himself is the hero. So when Bhagavan is the hero, who is going to be our, ideal heroine? Of course, Mata Mahalakshmi, right? So when Bhagavan is the hero, depending on his role, his character, his attire, his nadai udai bhavane we call in Tamil, his words, action, deeds, everything, Mata will adopt herself and she will always be his heroine by his side. And all his devotees, the Nitya Suris, whoever wants the Muktatma, some Devas, some everybody, all of them will come there as, co-actors taking different roles because of, their devotion to Bhagavan. Now, that kind of enactment is happening in the next 10 avatars, says Swami Vedanta Desika. And here, his brilliance of poetry has a pun in the word Ranga. Ranga could mean a stage. It could also mean the Ranganatha in Rangam, right? So Sri Ranga, Ranga itself is a stage. So it is Sri Ranga where Mata Mahalakshmi is called as Sri. It is her Ranga. She is now, doing a stage play also. So it is her play, her stage to dance, so performance. Now Bhagavan and Mata are taking on, adorning different roles, and they are going to come and perform all these 10 avatars. Now, who's the audience when they perform? All of us are his audience. All the bhaktas are the audience to enjoy whatever Bhagavan has to perform. So he says, in this Sri Rangapattanam, you and Mata are here to perform. In the Ranga, we can think of it as Sri Rangapattanam, where the Dasavatara Murti is available, or we can also think of the entire Prapanjam as their stage in which they come in order to act, and all of us are his devotees who are witnessing their, Bhagavan and Mata's enactment here. So that is the first sloka with which he starts this entire thing. From the next sloka onwards, he goes on to each of the avatars that we will be enjoying. This is a very, very interesting chandas, which is called as Shardula Vikridita. Shardula Vikrita. Actually, when we say chandas, we have something like the meters. For example, many of you will be reciting Gayatri. So you all know that, Gayatri is also a name of a chandas. And we all have been learning Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has a chandas which is called Anushtup chandas. So each of these chandas basically means the number of syllables in every pada, and there are rules which govern the chandas. For example, for Anushtup chandas, we'll have rules like, every line should have 8 aksharas. And there are some rules of which aksharas should be lagu, which aksharas should be guru, which should be like, pronounced in a mild way, which akshara should be in a dirgha way. So those rules are there. I'm not going into that. That's a separate chapter on chandas. This particular stotra, which we'll be learning from now on, is using a very, very interesting chandas, which is called as Shardula Vikridita, which has 19 syllables for every line. Okay. So it might be like, oh my God, how do I recite this to start with? But it's such a brilliant meter and it's very beautiful for visualization. A lot of great poets, when they want to represent something dramatically, for all the Nataka kavyas, they use this kind of a meter to show their expressions. So every line would be 19 syllables. So we'll have 4 lines for every stotra that we recite. That is the Shardula Vikridita. So let us go on to the first stotra. One of you can unmute and repeat after me. The others can repeat while you're still muted. Devona.
Can I go, Bhagini?
Yes, Bhagini.
Yeah.
Devona.
Devona
Shubhama.
Shubhama
Tanotu Dashadha.
Tanotu Dashadha
Devona Shubhama.
Devona Shubhama
Tanotu Dashadha.
Tanotu Dashadha
Nirvartayan Bhumikam.
Nirvartayan Bhumikam
Range Dhamani.
Range Damani
Labdha Nirbhara.
Labdha Nirbhara
Rasaihi.
Rasaihi
Range Dhamani.
Range Damani
Labdha Nirbhara Rasaihi.
Labdha Nirbhara Rasaihi
Adhyakshito Bhavukaihi.
Adhyakshito Bhavakaihi
Adhyakshito Bhavukaihi.
Adhyakshito Bhavakaihi
Let's repeat the first two. Devona Shubhama.
Devona Shubhama
Tanotu Dashadha.
Tanotu Dashadha
Nirvartayan Bhumikam.
Nirvartayan Bhumikam
Range Dhamani.
Range Dhamani
Labdha Nirbhara Rasaihi.
Labdha Nirbhara Rasaihi
Adhyakshito Bhavukaihi.
Adhyakshito Bhavakaihi
Yadbhaveshu.
Yadbhaveshu
Prithag Videshu.
Pritagvideshu
Anugunan.
Anugunan
Bhavan Swayam Vibhrati.
Bhavan Swayam Vibhrati
Yadbhaveshu Prithag Videshu.
Yadbhaveshu Pritagvideshu
Anugunan.
Anugunan
Bhavan Swayam Vibhrati.
Bhavan Swayam Vibhrati
Yadharmairiha.
Yadharmairiha
Dharmini.
Dharmini
viharate
viharate
yadharmairiha dharmini viharate
yadharmairiha dharmini viharate
nana kritir naika.
nana kritir nayika.
The last two lines we'll repeat. Yad bhaveshu pritag ekanimsham. Yad bhaveshu pritag videshu
yadbhaveshu pritagvideshu
anugunan
anugunam
bhavan swayam vibhrati.
bhavan swayam bibhrati
Yadharmairiha dharmini
yadharmairiha dharmini
viharate
viharate
nana kritir naika.
nana kritir nayika.
We will repeat the whole sloka once. Devo na shubhama
devo na shubhama
tanotu dashadha
tanotu dashada
nirvartayan bhumikam
nirvartayan bhumikam
range dhamani
range dhamani
labdha nirbhara rasaihi
labdha nirbhara rasaihi
adyakshito bhavukaihi
adhyakshito bhavikaihi
yadbhaveshu pritag videshu
yadbhaveshu pritagvideshu
anugunan
anugunam
bhavan swayam bibhrati.
bhavan swayam bibhrati
Yadharmairiha dharmini viharate
yadharmairiha dharmini viharate
nana kritir naika.
nana kritir nayika.
Dhanyavadaha Soumya Bhagini.
धन्यवाद.
Here it is pritag. There is a typo here. It is not patrig. It is pritag. I will try to fix it before the next session. I will just read it once slowly. You all can follow up from me. No repetition. I'm just reading it. Devo na shubhama tanotu dashadha nirvartayan bhumikam range dhamani labdha nirbhara rasaihi adyakshito bhavukaihi yadbhaveshu pritag videshu anugunan bhavan swayam bibhrati yadharmairiha dharmini viharate nana kritir nayika. So this is the first sloka of the Dasavatara Stotra. So we will also learn one Subhashitam today. Subhashitas are like words of wisdom. Our ancestors have given many beautiful thoughts for us. So one such thought we will share for today. These are like, in Tamil we call it paramori, right? Like the words of wisdom, the ancestors just write some things. When we think about it or contemplate about it, it's like, it is so insightful. So we will share one such Subhashitam today. And these can be used in many of our talks, lectures, they are very, very profound. So I will share such a Subhashitam before we wrap up for the day. One of you can repeat after me. Acharyat
Acharyat
Padamadatte
Padamadatte
Padam Shishyasvamedhaya
Padam Shishyasvamedhaya
Padam Sabrahmacharibhyaha
Padam Sabrahmacharibhyaha
Padam Kalakramena cha.
Padam Kalakramena cha.
A very, very interesting Subhashitam. I thought it's also relevant for us today. Padam basically means 1/4. 1/4 is called as a Padam. That's why when we speak about time, now what is the time? In India, it is 3:15. In Singapore, it should be 5:45, right? So, Padona Shadvadanam, you will say in Singapore. Pada Una. It is 5:45, you say, right? So it is 15 minutes lesser than 6. Padona Shadvadanam. In Singapore, it is 15 minutes after 3 o'clock in Chennai. So I will say Sapada, more than 15. So more by 1/4, less by 1/4. So Pada means 1/4 in Sanskritam. Pada. That is why our leg below our knee is called as Pada. Pada, we say, right? So it is 1/4 of our body. That is Pada. Now, this Subhashitam uses Pada in all the Padams. Pada here means every line. This sloka has 4 lines, right? So every line is called as a Pada, which is 1/4 of the sloka is one line. So it is called as a Pada. So in every Pada, it uses the word Pada. What does it say? Acharyat Padamadatte. Whatever learning we have in life, only 1/4 can be acquired from the Acharya. Only 1/4 of the learning we learn from the Acharya. After that, what should we do? Take that 1/4 as your inputs and Padam Shishyasvamedhaya. The Shishya should actually, the students should contemplate on the 1/4, put in their own efforts, do their own Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is a yajna, says Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, right? So Shishyasvamedhaya, with their own efforts, the Shishya should increase that 25% to 50%. So 1/4 of the effort should be put in by the Shishya by themselves. Padam Sabrahmacharibhyaha. The next 1/4, they have to, do a lot of discussion, contemplation, and, group thinking should happen. Earlier, all of them had to stay in a Gurukula together. Therefore, they could, interact, they could ask each other. Therefore, it is mentioned as a Brahmacharibhyaha. Brahmachari, where that was the time where they learned. Today, it is like, post-retirement, we start whether we should learn or not. So, Brahmachari applies to each of us who is a learner. So, here we can take it as a Vidyarthi. Whoever is interested in learning, we can consider as Vidyarthi. So, Sabrahmacharibhyaha means with all our classmates or like-minded people, we should brainstorm, we should bounce what we learned, we should share our thoughts, learn from others. So, only from mutual learning, the next 25% can be accomplished. And what about the last 25%? Padam Kalakramena cha. Because whatever we learn is not something like, academic in nature where we just learn, we implement and it's done. No. Navam patramaham dayayaha. Every time we learn something, it is new. After some time, when we look at the same thing which we had learned earlier, a absolutely new experience come. In fact, today I can tell you, I can in fact guarantee that I had done this Dasavatara Stotram, which few of you had attended earlier. Today's experience, I'm sure, would have been quite different for all of you from the experience we had the earlier time. Yes? Because every time, Bhagavan will keep giving us different experiences. The topic can be the same, the sloka can be the same, but our experience will be different. So, Padam Kalakramena is that the remaining 25% is a lifelong experience. We will keep learning. We will keep learning till our life is there. So that is the remaining 25%. So here, our learning just starts in this room. It does not end here. So we have to do our own efforts, 25%, by hearting it, contemplating about it, thinking about it, learning, doing swadhyaya. After that, we have this WhatsApp group. So bounce your ideas. If you practice, share your recordings, ask others of what they have on these topics. Let us have brainstorming discussion. So Padam Sabrahmacharibhyaha, we can have an active discussion forum. And then we can have the experiential learning. So that was the purpose I wanted to touch on this Subhashitam today. I will repeat it once more. Acharyat padamadatte
Acharyat padamadatte
padam shishyasvamedhaya
Padam Sishyaswamedaya
padam sabrahmacharibhyaha
Padam Sabrahmacharibhyaha
padam kalakramena cha
Padam Kalakramena cha.
Dhanyavadaha. So we can also by heart this Subhashitam, right? So any discussions before we wrap up for the day? We have another 5 minutes. Any questions you want to ask? Any discussions? Any viewpoints that you would like to share?
Are we going to discuss the meaning of the sloka? The first one, what?
The overall meaning of the first sloka is that I was just touching on that. I explained that before I explained the sloka, where I said Swami Vedanta Desika is now in Srirangam, where he says that, hey Bhagavan, you are taking these avatars where you're thinking of the entire Prabanja to be your stage, and you are becoming a nata, you're becoming an actor to come and play the 10 roles that you've taken up. Whenever you are coming with different roles, different characters, Mata Mahalakshmi adorns a appropriate character and accompanies you all the time. So both of you are there with you, all your bhaktas, devotees, the Nitya Suris, Muktatas, your devas, everybody come there. And who are you performing it for? For all your devotees who enjoy your avataras. So in that sloka only, he's used the word Ranga to pun between the Sriranga Pattanam and the Ranga, which is the stage. The entire cosmos or the universe is a stage for him. And Sriranga Pattanam is a stage for Bhagavan and Mata Mahalakshmi.
Yeah,
that is
got
the
it.
overall meaning of this stotra.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
you want a word by word, we can get into it, but I'm not sure to what extent you want the details. If everybody is keen on word to word, possibly from the next class, I can go on to word, but this is the overall meaning.
Thank you.
पद अर्धं ज्ञातुम् इच्छामः भगिनि.
एवं वा? अस्तु, प्रतिपदार्थमपि कर्तुं शक्नुमः, चिन्ता नास्ति. In fact, the pratipadartha will beat a little more Sanskritam, but yes, we can touch on the pratipadartha also. Now we have only 5 minutes. Next class, we will do the pratipadartha also. Any other questions, discussions?
Bhagini ji, you had mentioned about the 9 planets, right? And Earth not being included in that list, but we have the other, in the Navagrahas, we have the Rahu Ketu, right? how does that impact and what relevance will it have with our Dasavatara shloka here? That list I could not relate.
No, the Rahu and
properly.
Ketu, I had shown it here for the respective avatars. So if you see here, so we have Varaha Avatara represents the Rahu and Ketu actually. Both will come here only.
Ketu is Matsya Avatara.
Matsya Avatara.
Ah, sorry. Matsya and Varaha are the Rahu and Ketu planet. The reason why we are including the Rahu and Ketu, we actually call them as Chaya Graham in Sanskritam. They are shadow grahas. But because it's the elliptical shape in which the circulation happens, right? So because of that, the impact during the eclipse and all is felt. Therefore, we still consider them as important because it has an impact on Earth. That is why we take into consideration the Rahu and Ketu, though it is not a physical planet. I have explained more on this in my Vidyanidhi, Bhagini. I have actually touched on this in detail also. I can share you the link if you want.
Thank you, Bhagini. Thank you.
Mukundaraga Mahodaya, yes.
Just I wanted to, I just noticed that Bhagavan Balaram was not placed with any of the grahas. Is there like any reasoning, like why one row?
Your voice is breaking, Mahodaya. Balarama? Your voice is breaking, Mahodaya.
I think he's traveling, I think. So on the way, I think. So
yeah.
couldn't hear.
I think what he's trying to ask is why Lord Balarama is not included in the Dasavatara or something. Is it like that? Or?
In the Dasavatara Stotra, Balarama is included. But because Krishna and Balarama were always together, during the childhood and everything, they were together, they are considered, I mean, when you say Krishna, it is like, inclusive,
Including.
because Krishna is anyway a Purna Avatara. So we include Krishna. Balarama is definitely part of the Dasavatara.
Purna Avatara is important, right? Importance are...
complete, Bhagavan is manifested completely in that Avatara. Yes.
Like Rama, Krishna, like Purna Avatara.
Correct. Purna
Only
Avatara.
both of them, right?
Narasimha also, many acharyas pray to Narasimha Avatara as Purna Avatara.
Purna Avatara also.
Yeah.
So out of the three, we can say Rama, Krishna and Narasimha Avatara.
Narasimha Avatara predominantly. But there are like Mata Vedas, Mahodaya. Some acharyas consider a little differently also. Depending on the acharya parampara we belong to, there are subtle differences there.
Subtle differences. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So usually in our class, we complete it by saying Kayena Vacha. So we will wrap it up the same way here. I will recite it. One of you can, as usual, repeat after me. Others can stay muted and repeat after me. Kayena Vacha.
Kayena Vacha.
Manasendriyaiva.
Manasendriyaiva.
Buddhyatmanava.
Buddhyatmanava.
Prakrite Swabhavat.
Prakriti Swabhavat.
Karomi Yatyat.
Karomi Yatyat.
Sakalam Parasmai.
Sakalam Parasmai.
Narayanayeti.
Narayanayeti.
Samarpayami.
Samarpayami.
Achyutaya Namaha.
Achyutaya Namaha.
Anantaya Namaha.
Anantaya Namaha.
Govindaya Namaha.
Govindaya Namaha.
Achyutaya Namaha. Anantaya Namaha. Govindaya Namaha.
Achyutaya Namaha. अनन्ताय नमः गोविन्दाय नमः
अच्युताय नमः अनन्ताय नमः गोविन्दाय नमः
अच्युताय नमः अनन्ताय नमः गोविन्दाय नमः
सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु
सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु